Ever wondered what truly sets unforgettable hospitality apart from just another stay? This is the Global Hospitality Collective podcast, where we go beyond the surface to uncover the stories of short-term rental and vacation rental leaders who are reshaping our industry. Every other week, authors behind the Hospitable Hosts book series unpack the real strategies, lessons, and heart-led decisions driving meaningful change in hospitality. So if you're ready to challenge the status quo and elevate the way you host, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Hey there, this is Tanya with the Global Hospitality Collective, and I am so excited today for you guys to hear the author that we have on today. This gal was in the Hospitable Hosts STR Sisterhood Edition, which came out in March on National Women's Day or International Women's Day. She is chapter 17, and I'm really excited because this is going to be a little bit different. She has been a host before, and now she hosts in a different way that's more of like a service base. So I'm excited to dig into that with her. So without further ado, please welcome Karen Piscitelli. Hi, how are you?
Tanya, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. I was thrilled to be part of the book. To be one of the 33 authors was a huge, it was a compliment. I'm just absolutely amazed to be here with you today and to be in the book. Also with such amazing women that are just changing the industry. So Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like being in one of these books, like I think I was in book number 3, and it is really fun. You have like a built-in community that you get to talk to people about hospitality and other people that love hospitality because it's such a specific thing, you know? So, okay. Tell the people listening what you've got going on, because you started out in one spot and you've landed in a different spot and you're continuing to evolve. So let's talk about that right away.
Well, thanks. I cut my teeth, as they say, in a home that we converted. It was my parents' home, and it was in the mountains of North Carolina. It was a little town that actually was so small, it wasn't even on Google Maps when my parents first bought the property. My dad was a builder. They knocked it down as a fishing shack, and they made a beautiful home in the mountains. And it was in Burnsville, North Carolina. So fast forward, he passed away. My mom didn't want to stay there. I was into the shared economy. I said, great, let's make an investment property. So now we'll make it a rental. And we did. God, did we learn. It wasn't just about changing the furniture out from my mother's, from their previous Florida, because you don't want the Florida style in the mountains, and you want the king size bed, you want the fire pit. So we did everything. We converted the house. We worked with the property manager. Thought, okay, this is great. We would come down. My mom moved her to Vero Beach, so she would drive up. We would drive down. It was 13 hours. We'd roll up our sleeves. We did everything that it would take. And we were there like, I'd say it was on average, every 2 to 3 months. We worked with the property manager. And then the more that we did it, we realized, how come they're not doing more? I was a property owner that's like, how come our property manager isn't doing enough? We would leave all the high-end soap brands and the laundry detergent. At one point, we bought all new sheets for all the new bedding. We went back the next time, it was all this mismatched, like grandmother's stuff. I was like, what happened to our stuff? And it was a washer and dryer. So we learned the hard way. But the thing is what I learned more than anything was my background's in marketing. I should mention that. And my day job up until June 1st, for 21 years, I've worked at a private club, and I've seen how everybody's always looking for something to do. So with the marketing background, I dug deep and I listened to Melissa, who is our property manager, what there was to do in the area. But I also worked with the Chamber of Commerce. The Wi-Fi is huge. Was like they laid wires that towns, I'm in the suburbs of New York, and it doesn't have such fast internet and Wi-Fi because they were getting ready to Asheville. They were on this major thoroughfare. So that was great. But I was trying to actually connect like the schools and with people that I knew, getting them 3D printers. And I'm just very community oriented. And so what I did was I was showing the guests what there was to do in the area for our guests. And of course I did a guest book. So our home, Melissa taught us well. We named it. So it was Montemori, for the love of the mountains. And it was great. And so it's not a guest book when you think of listing what there is to do. We did that too. But then I also did it because I wanted them to sign in. And it's so funny that every single page they talk about how the house is beautiful, amazing location and views, and they enjoyed the horseback riding, visiting the waterfall, and apple picking. The next facing page, Thanksgiving, 2017, they had a wonderful time. Never forget the time to spend as a family. We went to Mount Mitchell and built more. Love the views. The house is beautiful. So what I realized was that's what it was. Everybody was looking for something unique to do. And so we were looking to connect the guests. And when it was such an overwhelming success, and I was going back to my day job in Connecticut, and I'm like, wait, everybody's looking for more. And so that's the premise of Explorabout. We connect tour operators and property managers. And so the guest knows what there is to do in the area. And to reward the property manager. So again, now that I know how hard they work, and they do work hard, and even in the mountains, how you can handle more than 2 properties in a day, and the cleaning staff and everybody, how it takes you, they say as the crow flies, but it takes an hour and a half to get to the next property and you're doing work and you're getting it ready. So no, it was good that I was judgy for that, because I learned how hard they worked. And that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to serve the community and the property manager. So when we offer these curated experiences that we vet, we sort, it actually goes on the property manager's website. So we're a commission-based model, and that's where I'm saying that I want the whole entire local community to win, because then when the property manager, the tour operator gets access to the traveling guest, that's the elusive, they can never get that. And so, and unlike Airbnb experiences, which everybody always asks the difference, I actually put the two together. So the property manager does know the tour operator. Everybody, we're getting to the point that they'll be able to keep the reviews, the relationships, and all of that. Because we know that if you're in the mountains, if you're not in Burnsville, you might go to Weaversville, but you know what you like. And we know this industry. It's like the vacation rentals. You have the multi-generational family, but if they're not going back to that same property, they might be 2 towns over. So it's always just about sharing that. So I honor and I respect the property manager. They work hard, and that's why our experiences live on their site, because they have the relationship with the guests. So anyone who's like, on the other side, on the tours and activities, there are some big companies that are just like, who likes to own the guest data and all of that good stuff. But I think it all comes down to it's respecting the property manager, because they're the ones that are doing all the work. And so that's who Explorabout is.
Okay, so you had this house with your family, you started renting it out, you had a property manager, you realized that stuff wasn't for you. Can you talk about or finish out that part of the story of, so how long did you have the property, and then you guys decided to just get rid of it, and then you started doing the tour stuff, is that right?
Right. Well, I'm putting together. I'm actually connecting. At one point, we thought we were going to be B2B to C, but it's plenty enough just serving the business to business market. And so, it was my mom's house, so it was her choice. And so when she sold it, that's just how it goes. And I realized that this was a problem that needed to be solved, because a lot of the bigger companies, perhaps like Viator and the big ones, they focus on the cities. They don't focus on the secondary markets. And so that's why it's so hard to find. And so we're working on the diversification of product and unique products. And then we listen to our property manager. I should mention we launched in Charleston last August, and then we've already expanded to Myrtle Beach. We're just launching Tennessee, and I've got the tri-state in New York I've got Connecticut and New Jersey live now. And so then we're adding Rhode Island and Massachusetts next week. So, but I think that's really it. It just comes down to just seeing the need. My mom, like I said, did sell the house. It was her choice, but it's just too hard to find the unique things to do, and then to connect the two. Nobody loves the guests more than property managers and tour operators. So we call them experiences. So that's why I started to say, so I listened to our very first partner, Megan. We asked her, what do your guests want? And property managers know their guests. So, and they know which house. Like there's one property management company that we're talking with that has 8 separate personas, and then where they are and which experiences, what's super high end, what's more downtown, the short-term rental market. So based on all of that, went back and said, well, everyone's really asking for a photographer to come to the house. Okay, great. So we handle that. And then they were like, what about an in-home chef? Okay, got that. And then we're also, because we're so rooted, like in Charleston, there was one husband and wife couple where the wife owns Tour Charleston and the husband owns the bookstore. So, and then it's like, okay, now let's get the author in. So we're creating unique experiences for some of our property managers that you can't get anywhere
Get
else.
anywhere else? Yeah. So how do you like match this? You said that you put it on like a property manager's website. So I have my own direct booking site, so I could put it on there. What does it look like? Is there just a list of things? Do you just take requests on what somebody wants to do? Do you dream up the thing already and then they get to pick it?
Yes, we go through what is tested and true. We do have data that backs that up. Robin Harnish, who is our head of product, she steers the ship on that side because she actually was when they launched Viator. She was on the original product team that launched Viator. So she knows. So even when we picked Charleston, we said, okay, we need to make this work. So we picked an area that had such a great set of experiences and also a set of vacation rentals and short-term rental in that market. We put it together and said, how can we serve this community? And so that's it. So we look at where are the best reviews, what is the most desired experiences. Then we also listen to, like I said, the property manager. We've got somebody in Myrtle Beach who his properties really want the in-home grocery service. So now we partner with that in-home grocery service in that area. So it's we listen to the locals of what they want, and then we match it and we pull it in. And so we come back to the property manager. We say, this is our recommendation. And then in a case like Barrett in Myrtle Beach, he was like, but this, and this. Okay, great. So we go out, we work with them. There's other property management companies that are bigger that right now they might just give a link out. So they're not getting, because did I mention we're a commission-based model and we share our commission with the property manager? So now it's not that it's much, but at least if it doesn't cost you and you get a little bit extra and you're not having to do the work and the guest is happy, so we share 25% of our commission with the property manager. So, but that's why, before they were just giving links out. So they don't know if the guest is booking, if this, and then it's also just, so we vet the tour operators and the companies, and then we see which are the best in that market. If they have any other suggestions, we work with that. We just, I guess it's, some people have compared it to a bit of a concierge experience service. So, but we're making it custom for the property manager for their properties.
Gotcha. So how do you find your short-term rental operators to partner with?
Well, we started in those markets, and so those we've been focusing on. We were getting all the wheels turning and making sure everything was going. It takes a lot to get it all going, and so now we've got somebody, who is like in Beaufort, who has 150 properties and who's interested. So like, okay, great. So now they can go on, they can fill out a form, they're interested, and we'll pull a selection for them, and then we can, go through that process of onboarding and putting it on their site. Whether it's on the site is whether it's a WordPress or a Wix. I've got a call next with somebody who is a guesty partner. So now it's whatever is their back end. We help. It's a simple widget that we put on their site. And at the end, even though I'm a brandaholic, the guest never even knows it's Explorabout. They only think it's that property manager. And then we help with, the pre-arrival communication. We've got magnets that are in destination that it's branded to the property manager. So when the guest books it, it takes them back to the property manager's website to where they can book the experiences. And it's all right on the property manager's site.
So if somebody is in one of these markets though, so somebody's in Charleston and they only have 5 properties, but they want to potentially do this, are they allowed to? Are you guys there yet or not quite?
That's fine. Megan, who I mentioned earlier, she only has she has now 3 properties. So we have some that have 3 and we have some that have 70. And, I think it's also, I think the difference of that, we're the only, and it's very important in our pitch deck because we are new, but we are the only really one out there that actually is sharing the information with the tour operator specifically and the property manager. So we're looking to make sure that we're building relationships in the community. So we're not like some other companies that are like, oh, you can't know who your guests are contacting and you can't have your data. So so your point, if you're booked direct and you're on a PMS, it's whatever works for you because it's your site. So it goes, it's all your delivery.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, can you tell me, like, it sounds like to me you're still pretty hospitality forward because I hear a lot of buzz things that you're talking about, how you want the community to be involved and you want a guest to be happy, you want a property manager to be happy. So, can you tell me a little bit about like what hospitality means to you and your company and Explorabout?
Hospitality is just the heart of experiences. Like, that's what it is. It's about making the guest happy. And even now, sorry, I just got goosebumps. But that's what it is. We're all here to serve the we wouldn't be in those markets if we didn't love it. And so that's what we're doing. So we're just bringing awareness back of how to appreciate it. That's why even on the, that's where I became waterfall obsessed was in in North Carolina. But that's what it was. It's there are some things that it might be a guided tour, but it might not, but it might be, that they're in Myrtle Beach and they want to, go on a boat ride. So whatever it
Mhm.
is that's just making it, because I think I was in an interview once and it came off the tongue, but then it stuck because it's true. It's that it's the better the experience, the bigger the memory. And that's to me what hospitality drives. It's that return guest. And if it's to your group of homes, great. If it's back, like I'm saying, if it's Hendersonville and not Burnsville, that's how it goes. I went to Cape May last summer, and so I want to go back to Cape May. The guests, you know what you like. And especially, I'm a huge drive market person, and God knows in this economy, drive market is important. And so, but
Mhm.
that's what it is. I've always seen the numbers, that anything that's within a 3 hour time frame, anybody, it's a weekend, so maybe you're staying longer, but as long as you're staying, you want to know the things to do. And that's even why the photographer, who we're working with is we have a few local photographers, but then there's somebody else that's great. And if we can combine a bit of the lifestyle photo shoot for the guest and the property manager gets some extra footage and they get it on location, let's everybody
Mhm.
win and use it. We even right now we're taking it to a program where we're giving the property manager some pre-made social media pieces so they can just drop it in. That's specific. Again, it's branded to their company with the experiences that they have, and they just have so much on their plate. To me, okay, so hospitality is how much is there to do in a day? And so we're just trying to lighten the load.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that sounds great. Can you tell me a little bit about so I typically ask hosts, for a fun host story or just something weird that's happened. You have guests in a different way because you still have them through Explore About you and you also have property managers. Can you tell me something, weird or awesome that's happened since you've started this company?
Well, what motivated me, if I can go back even for that, there was a time
Hmm.
that when we built the fire pit, we thought, okay, that was good. We would reward ourselves to an experience. We went back the next time 3 months because that's what it was. We would work so hard and then we would discover something to do in the area. But when we went back the next time, somebody had left. My parents had these huge wooden chairs. They were rocking chairs, and no kidding. They were like the handles were like this thick. It was just they were massive wooden rocking chairs. And unfortunately, they left them out by the fire pit. So they got rained on for like a month. So we had to actually like resand and revarnish. And I think it's not might not be the story you were looking for, but I think that was the lesson of that. How much, and it was at that moment that my mother and I are kvetching. We're New Yorkers, and so we were doing that. And I'm like, it's so hard to maintain a property in the mountains. There's got to be a service for this. Like, think of, and then we were like, oh, and then we had somebody that wanted to stay for the holidays. We're like, well, let's add some, should we do Christmas? But shouldn't probably be a live tree. We should look at, so how much thought comes out of what you need. I think life is business and that they're similar in the way that you don't ever know what you need until it's there. And I think that's to me is the part of that. There's so many things that you can't begin to learn until you trip on, oh, shoot, I have to fix that.
Yep. I completely agree with all of this that the more experience you have as a property manager or a host or whatever it is, an owner, the more experience you have, the more you know about, the more you can figure out pitfalls later. And it's a really good point of showing like sometimes it's not for everybody. Like it sounds like, you and your mom made the decision. You guys haven't actually bought another property or anything like that. But you found a niche and a spot that you feel comfortable in and you do like, because it sounds like you like providing these experiences to people.
Trust me, it's on my goals that as soon as I can get this going to that point, I do plan to be buying properties. I want my own within 3 hours apart. But and I
Excellent.
think I spoke to the fire pit, but what I should also do as a user experience when I go to Cape
Hmm.
May last year, I I had just switched. I love Outlook, and we just switched to Google Mail, and so I wasn't able to. I'm not a huge fan. I like the organization of Outlook better, and so
Hmm.
I was down for a week, and we were there, and the company, the property management company, sent me the initial email telling me what there was to do in the area. But
Hmm.
I'm telling you, I had like 2 days. I could not find that thing again. And so that's the point. As the guest, as my experience when I was looking for what there was to do, I ended up having to just go to, the general search on my phone. But if it was on the property manager's website, that's where I would have gone back to because I kept looking back like all through all their communications. Where is it? And I couldn't find it.
Uh-huh.
So that's why it has to live on their site because they already have the you already have the relationship with the guest. You
Yeah.
gotta just give the
Yeah.
guest what it is easy to find.
Yeah, you're completely right that there are certain spots that my guests are going to go to, or I put QR codes in my houses so that people know this is where I want you to go. And there's just a few of them, but here, these are the places that are the best. We don't have tours and things like this. And you're already making me think, like as a host, I've never really thought about reaching out to some of the tour guides here in the Twin Cities. Like I'm in Minnesota. So most of our properties are in St. Paul. And we have some incredible areas in St. Paul. Like there's still 225 original big huge mansions like from the 1800s that are here, and people actually do walking tours. Like you can go and see some of the outsides and they'll talk about that. They'll talk about there's haunted ones, there's not haunted ones. Like I've never thought of like sending somebody to one of these places or to do this. So I think like as a host myself and host listening, I hope this is prompting you to actually think about how could you partner with people locally, even if it's tour people, like on how to do this. So if somebody were to want to do this, like you're doing it at a bigger scale, like obviously you're going into markets that, have more things. But if it was somebody like me that doesn't have your service because you guys are on the East Coast right now, what kind of suggestions do you have on how I can reach out to tour people, like anything, if I were to want to do a little bit of this in my own market?
Well, you can do that. You can, I spoke at the Vacation Rental Women's Summit last August and somebody asked that. You can do all the work. You can go, you can find them, you can research them, you can, speak to them. It's a lot. You also want to make sure that you have somebody that, because now you're recommending them so the guest doesn't let the guest down. Make sure that the meetup is correct and all of that. So there is a process for vetting. I mean, there are different ways. Some, I've had some of the new partners that have converted that actually were loading in Viator, but it's a massive site. So then they were like, wait, now the guest gets like lost with all there is to do. I should mention that we also typically only put top 20 experiences. So we try not to, they're little microsite collections. And so we don't want to overwhelm the guest of what there is to do. But yeah, you can do that. You can set it up. But, I have somebody who went to one partner with us and said that they wanted it was a cycle bike on the water, and so they went to this property manager and said we want to work with you, and they said, oh no, you deal with Explorabout. And so that's how we go through that vetting process and check them. But we can open up yes, we're going to be national. Right now we're still on the East Coast, so hopefully I'll be able to help you soon enough over there. But and yeah, you can just starting with the list of, as you were saying, the things that there are to do. And when I say tours, it's tours, activities, and any kind of experiences. And that's why even like we have a brunch that can come to you. And that's why we've got one of our partners is downtown. So he's a short-term rental and he gets very bougie kind of clients. And so like, oh, have the brunch come to you, stay in your pajamas. Oh, are you already dressed? Have the photographer, tack on the photographer too. Because when you think about it, if you're going to be there with friends, why not be served and enjoy it and have the photographer? So it can be we just think out of the box. So it's not just tours, it's tours, activities, and experiences. It's anything that makes it memorable.
How do you tell me more about this photography thing? Like, I think of this, and I think as a short-term rental host and an owner and friends of lots of hosts, I think, having somebody bring in a photographer for their multi-generational stay, like the amount of people that have that kind of stuff. How can I talk to a photographer about this? Like, tell me exactly the process of like when the first time this happened or something in your company that you're just like, somebody wants a photographer. What kind of conversation do you have? What kind of insurance do you make sure they have? Like, is there any details that you can share about this? That, again, Karen's not in St. Paul, Minnesota yet. She might be within the next 12 months. How do I go and figure this out?
Well, we're growing, and so we're scaling to grow for other regions. And
Of
so
course.
in our first search circumstances, we found a photographer that was in Charleston, and we have her, and great. Um, she came back and she was 900 or 1,000. We got her down to 900. So she was $1,000 for an hour. I'm like, well, who's gonna?
Not a
Oh, that's
chance.
not. Yeah, that's. I
Yeah.
just think of myself as the consumer, and I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah.
all crazy.
I'm not spending that ever.
But when I was at that women's conference, the Vacation Rentals Women's Summit, Click was doing the photography. And so they are also a growing, and they're a woman-owned business that's growing and booming. And so I went back to her and I said, great, what do you have in this area? And so that's where, but it is different. And that's why I say it's a lifestyle versus a real estate photographer. And so we're working with partnering with Click so that when we have somebody that has a photographer, they're helping to make sure that they've got their sources. They've got 20 photographers. And so they're making sure that they can pick that right photographer and then who's available. And so that's exactly. So some of our partnerships are a little bit bigger, but Click is great, but they're dealing more at a I think that might be the difference where we can work with anyone if they've got, as you were mentioning, 3 to 5 homes, but we're working with this photographer who's looking for us a bit more at scale with more partners to be able to satisfy, that market. But I would think that any photographer that and yes, everything making sure the insurance and the vetting, even on the groceries, that scared me a lot because groceries ahead is good, but think about it, you're giving that passcode to them. So somebody
Hmm.
might be asking for that refrigerator to be stocked. So that's why that's an example where we're making sure that we are putting them in touch. So you're the
Hmm.
property manager and this is groceries ahead. And they have, I think they have like 55 partners in the area anyway. And so they're very established. But if you don't already work with them, we're putting them together. So again, we're the bridge, we're the
Hmm.
matchmaker. And so, but now if it's somebody in your area, any way that I can help and do some digging and give you some examples, I'd be happy to. But hopefully, we'll be all over soon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think like I just think of how scrappy some hosts are, and a lot of people do a version of this. It's just, like yours is way better scaled and organized probably differently, but I just think of some of the people that do stuff like this and how like I've never thought about offering a photographer to these people, like especially around the holidays, like this would be a perfect one. But finding the partners to actually do that with are like, that's one great thing about partnering with a company like you.
Where
Um,
we're really going, if I can tag on to that,
yeah.
my real vision, where I really want to be is, and because of our first partners being so good telling us what they want, we were working in Charleston. There's a big foodie week, and so what we're looking to do is we want, and these both sides of the equation, they really are dedicated to the region and to the guests. So we're trying to put together that, so it's food week, it's food tour week.
Hmm.
So have that chef, but then for somebody like Megan, who one of her homes, it's got I think 8 or 10 bedrooms, so it's a very big high-end home. It's
Hmm.
Isle of Palms. It's beautiful. But so what we're doing is if we can help her get a booking, so we're working out a package that, say if it's 10 people staying there, to get the experience for free.
Hmm.
And so especially gearing it around that time. So we're putting the relationships and packages together that will help the property manager get bookings that they might not have had otherwise. So we're really
Yeah.
being very strategic about the partnerships because we're driving bookings, driving repeat guests, and that's what's most important.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I love this. So if somebody wanted to look you up, they wanted to ask you questions or see if you're going to be in their market soon, how do they find you? Where do they find you?
It's explorabout.com. So I need to specify it's trademarked, registered trademark. So it's EXPLORABOUT. So there isn't a middle E. It's explorabout.com. I have a tour operator's page. I have a property manager's page. The region page will even give you a little bit of a demo of how that widget sits on yours. And Megan, I keep raving about her because she's a quintessential. She's just a beautiful young lady with two young children, and she's how they care for the home and how they care for the area. Like, she used to be a nurse. So she's just the most caring, detailed person. I just loved her when I met her. And so, that's why our product demo shows how it sits on her website. So it's a real demonstration of how and it's just, again, it's not about us. It's about you, the property manager, that's just working your tail off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So explorabout.com, do they find you on Instagram, Facebook, any of that spots too?
Yep. We're on all of those. Yeah, I'm a LinkedIn junkie. I mean, addicted.
LinkedIn as well.
But yeah, the explorabout.com is the best. The socials are there. To be honest with you, I'm the shoemaker. Making his own, or not having his own shoes, because I'm just so focused on making sure that the partners are set up well. I have to kind of get back and do some more social media on Insta and Facebook myself. But I think that's why being part of the book was so important, being part of the community and just being a voice, because people are seeing that this is a need, and this is the matchmaking. Like I said, it's the bridge. So I'm just looking to serve the markets who are serving the guests.
Yeah, no, I think I hear about it. I hear your passion about it, and I love your excitement on getting into other markets and things like that. Like, I think of this, and I would love to put something like this on my website. So I'm excited to talk to you about it later. And but yeah, I really appreciate the time that you spent to actually talk about this, the hospitality that comes in with this, and I think this is a really cool thing for guests. So thank you for sharing. And the folks listening, reach out to Karen if you have any questions. If you're on the East Coast, for sure, like right now, we're in the end of May 2026, and we know that the East Coast is getting hit, and soon enough it'll be everywhere else. So if you enjoy this episode, please give us a 5-star rating. If you have any feedback, feel free to give us that as well. And tune in next week for Jody and the gals talking about something hospitality forward. Thanks, Karen, for the time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's great being here. Thanks, Tanya.
Bye, guys.
That's it for this episode of the Global Hospitality Collective podcast. If today's conversation made you think, inspired you, or just reminded you why hospitality matters, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Next week, our panel, Helen, Rose, Debbie, and myself are back, and we're going beyond the listings and the tech, diving headfirst into real stories, the hard decisions, and yes, all those weird and wacky guest experiences you won't believe are true. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Thanks for listening, and as always, keep hosting with heart. See you next time.